Hey team, you're watching Hide and Sneaks, and the Reimagined series continues, this time with the Jordan 5 Black Metallic Reimagined. Now, it's the first time we've seen the Jordan 5 in the Reimagined lineup. We've had the Jordan 1s, which has been a safe and stable choice. They've had the Breed Patterns, they've had the Lost and Founds, and they've had the Royals. And coming out soon also, they've got the Black Toes. Then they played it pretty safe by choosing the white cements for the 3s, and then moving into the 4s, they did a material swap on the Jordan 4 Breeds. Now the 5 was an interesting choice because unlike the 1s, 3s and 4s, where there's plenty of hype and they're consistently popular, the 5s for some can be a little bit more of an acquired taste. Look, there's plenty of purists for the 5s, but there are also some who really like them, but in particular in the colorway because of the price. Because the hype for the 4 versus the hype for the 5, at that same price point, most people will choose to go for the 4. I myself love the Jordan 5 and I wish I had more 5s in my collection, but that barrier of the price point when I compare it to would I rather get a Jordan 1 or would I rather get another Jordan 4 often catches me out. So a lot of the times I've picked it up in the resale market for a very hyped pair, or it's been a pair that I've let go on sale. Now one thing that is going for this obviously is it is an OG colorway, and we love our OG retros as sneakerheads. The thing that's interesting I think for this when you look at this is the reimagined treatment really doesn't feel that large as a reimagined treatment. In other past releases we've obviously had ones where they've done a distressed or aged look, and that's been incredibly popular. It's had some narrative to it, it's had some storyline to it. In this case, I kind of feel like they wanted to make sure they captured another great OG retro, but they weren't quite sure how to reimagine it. I don't know if the piping effect is a really huge sort of take on it being reimagined, but hey, the Black Metallics are a great pair, and for a lot of people who haven't had it since 2016, we'll take what we can get in this space. Now let's look at the miss, maybe or must ratings for the Jordan 5 Black Metallic Reimagined. First of all, is it a miss? Absolutely not. When I talk about a pair being a miss, it needs to have either poor materials, poor color blocking, poor execution of the silhouette. None of that is evident here. It's easily wearable, it's great being a reimagined, it's great being an OG retro, it's great being a colorway we've wanted back for a long time. It's black, it's easy wearable. Miss is definitely not on the cards for this. Now looking at maybe might be a bit of an interesting one here. So for me, when I think about a maybe, it's got a lot going for it, but depending on your collection, I would say you should hold off if, for example, you already have very similar pairs or you've got a previous retro. So for me, if I looked at this from a maybe territory, I would compare this to obviously the last 2016 release. I guarantee very few people still have their pair in a very good condition. So if you got that or you missed out last time, for sure you've got to pick this up. In terms of other black Jordan 5s, and I will cover this off in the vibe check coming up, there just hasn't been a lot in this space. I think this is by far the best Jordan 5 black option there is. So I don't think it's maybe territory. I think it is a must category. It's something you'll be able to easily wear all the time. It'll look great beat up. It's got that OG colorway lore behind it. Reimagined series are always popular and they do a decent job on materials, and it looks good on foot. Up next we have the vibe check, and I use this phrase a lot on my channel. When I talk about a vibe check, I talk about a shoe having a similar look and aesthetic to other models, and how this could be a great opportunity to capture that at either a more accessible or more affordable price point. Starting things off, it's a retro, so we have to look back at the most recent retro, which was the 2016 release. Now, I guarantee most people's pairs are going to be absolutely beat up by this point, and for good reason. It's a great pair to wear and rock, but it's been a while, so clearly you're going to need to put another one back in the collection. So if you missed out last time or your last pair's been beat up, I would definitely say this is a great vibe check for that. Taking a step back and looking at other Jordan 5 releases that are in that black sort of style colorway, there's a few that come to mind. The first most obvious one to me was that Midnight Navy pair that was kind of nicknamed the Oreos from a few years back, and that is largely an all black and white accent pair. Materials on it were pretty general release, so if you did miss out and you wanted a black Jordan either for a color wheel part of your collection or just because you like that pair, I think this ticks all those boxes, as well as being both, you know, a great Jordan 5 pair, OG colorway retro. It's got that Nike Air on the heel tab, which is always popular, and it's a reimagined series, so I think it's definitely a much better pickup. There's also been some other black Jordan 5s. There were the Aquas, there were the Racer Blues, there was the Top 3. All of these pairs are solid black colorways, but they're not the black colorway. If we look at the Aquas or the Racer Blues, look, the accent colors on these make these not as wearable on the day to day, whereas the Black Metallics, you can wear it with pretty much any outfit. Tie it in, contrast it, so I think it's a much better pickup to get this pair if you were trying to capture those similar aesthetics. Looking at the top three is a little bit of a different situation. So yes, it has a bit of a quirk to it that it's combining obviously those top three OG retro colorways. But if you look at that shoe, the lion's share of the inspiration came from the Black Metallics. So while I do understand there's a bit of novelty to that top three pair, there's also a lot of novelty and sort of that collectability of the Reimagined series. Now, it's been great to hear my view on things, but it's always interesting to hear my better halves. Now, she's obviously not a sneakerhead, but Brooklyn will give her thoughts on what she thinks about the fives. I don't have a lot in my collection, so she probably won't be comparing this to many things, but let's see what she thinks about the Jordan 5 Black Metallic Reimagined.
With these shoes, I actually quite like a neutral shoe, so I'm like, that's quite good. However, that one side, if you were to show me one side, I'd be like, oh, that's quite nice. Then you turn it to the other side, I'm like, oh, it's a shark. I don't know if I like the shark vibes. Not for me. I do like the colours. The colour is quite nice. Is the red part a feature on the laces? Okay. Random, but quite okay, I guess. But I don't like the spikies. Spikies are a no-go. See bye. Off you go. No, not off me. Colours, yes. Spikes, no. Laces, yes. Feature, red thing, yeah. Overall, maybe 6 purple hearts out of 10.
And is it a near miss or near misses?
It's a near miss.
So you've actually called out the shark teeth, but you have seen Jordan 5s before up there.
See, when I first look at these, I don't notice the shark bait hula. I notice the blue, and the blue is quite stunning. I really like this shoe, but on the other pair, good, not so good. You know, not for me.
Honestly, you never know what Brooklyn's going to say or what purple heart ranking she's going to give to a pair. So, interesting. Anyway guys, that is game time. Thank you so much for watching. I am looking forward to getting through some more pairs this year because with All-Star Weekend coming up, it's going to be a very busy month for talking about shoes. Feel free to like and subscribe. I'll see you next time. Thanks.